Next on Worcester News tonight, the cleanup is on in Worcester after the city's first snowfall. But now there's even more snow expected. Plus, 3 former guards at Bridgewater State Hospital have been acquitted of charges in the 2009 death of an inmate from Charlton. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Anna Bottary. We're learning about the explosion in a commuter station in New York early Monday. Authorities say a 27-year-old man injured himself and 3 others when he set off a homemade pipe bomb strapped to his body. Tonight we're hearing reaction from commuters here in Worcester. Our Cam Jandro now joins us live with more. Cam?
Yeah, Anna, the explosion happened around 7:30 this morning in what is a very busy part of New York. Tonight I caught up with commuters as they were getting ready to head into the train station.
In Worcester, hundreds walk through Union Station to access trains and buses. And for many, the explosion in a busy New York subway Monday was fresh on their minds. Commuters say these incidents are part of today's world.
I mean, stuff like that, it's always in the back of your mind when you're in any crowded space, I feel like, just by virtue of what's going on right now, but not so much on the train.
The suspect, 27-year-old acquitted, injured himself and 3 others in what authorities believe to be an attempted suicide bombing. The explosion occurred in a passageway connecting the Port Authority and Times Square subway stations.
The device is based on a pipe bomb. It was affixed to his person with a combination of Velcro and zip ties.
He had burns and wounds to his body.
One Worcester commuter says the easy access of stations is what's most concerning in this situation.
On the commuter rail, like, if someone just dresses normally, they can blend right in, whether or not they have, like, an explosive device, a weapon, like a knife or something on them.
Was taken into custody and is believed to have been inspired by ISIS. After an attack like Monday's, commuters hope to see safer stations moving forward.
Just more general security, like people keeping a better eye out.
Sort of makes you think a little bit, but part of why I take the commuter rail is because it's so convenient, and I don't know, it's a tough kind of balancing off thing that you'd have to do with security, but I'm sure there's ways you could make it convenient too and also safe.
Now, the New York Police Department tweeted out saying there will be a heavier police presence for the foreseeable future at the stations, but as of right now, there are no more credible threats. Anna? Thanks for that report, Cam.
Well, 3 former guards at the Bridgewater State Hospital have been acquitted of charges in the 2009 death of an inmate with schizophrenia. Charlton native Joshua Messier suffered heart failure when the guards forcefully strapped him to a bed. The Boston Globe reports a judge said Monday the defendant's conduct did not constitute wanton and reckless disregard for the 23-year-old Messier's life. The former guards had faced charges including involuntary manslaughter. Prosecutors had determined in 2010 there was insufficient evidence to pursue criminal charges and none of the guards were disciplined. But in 2014, Attorney General Martha Coakley appointed a special prosecutor who determined there were grounds for charges. The defense argued the guards were doing their best under the circumstances. City Manager Edward Augustus held a meeting at Worcester City Hall tonight regarding homelessness in the city. Augustus was joined by city officials who offer social services, as well as 2 experts on the issue of chronic homelessness. The federal government defines chronic homelessness as an unaccompanied individual with a disabling condition who has been homeless for a year or more or has at least 4 episodes of homelessness in the past 3 years. It's important to note an overwhelming majority of people who experience homelessness are only homeless for a short period of time. The city manager says we need a fresh approach when facing the issue of homelessness.
I think sometimes people confuse, we see panhandlers, we see people who might be, in public spaces, and we think that they're all homeless. They're not necessarily all homeless. But there is a number of people, too many people, who are chronically homeless. We see them in encampments, people living in tents and other public spaces, and that creates, public health issues for them and for the community. So there's a lot of good reasons, and just basic humanity requires that we try to get people into safe, appropriate housing.
Worcester has done this before. They've ended chronic homelessness here before, I guess in 2011. And so there's a track record to build on. And most communities have not really attained that goal before. So a lot of folks are still trying to get to that for the first time.
The PIP shelter was closed in 2013 and a new triage center was opened on Queen Street run by Southern Middlesex Opportunity Council. There's an estimated 67 chronically homeless people in Worcester County, many of which have found themselves in the city of Worcester. The Pawtucket Red Sox issuing a statement today on the proposed stadium financing deal released by the Rhode Island Senate Finance Committee. The PawSox are expressing concerns about the changes, which reportedly include a 50-50 split on naming rights revenue between the team and Pawtucket. The team says the state legislature's process this year and negotiations between the state, the team, and the city of Pawtucket mean a new ballpark can no longer be ready by April 2020, which the team says was stated important in collective objective. The statement reads in part, "We have lost that year, but we have not lost our hope that the House and Senate will exhibit the necessary leadership to allow the construction of a beautiful ballpark." The city of Worcester saw several inches of snowfall over the weekend, some areas of the city seeing as much as 7 inches. Just days after the first snowstorm, more snow is headed our way. And as our Brittany Schaefer explains, the Department of Public Works has warnings for residents.
As you can see, the snow is still lingering from the weekend out here, and with more snow on the way, the city's DPW commissioner wants to remind residents to clear your sidewalks, hydrants, and to follow the winter parking ban. The first snowstorm of the season has passed, and DPW Commissioner Paul Messier says there were a few issues delaying cleanup efforts.
It went a little slower than maybe I would have thought, but for the first storm of the year, there was a lot of new drivers and different equipment, and people just aren't quite used to everything.
Another delay, the city ticketed 1,200 vehicles in violation of the winter parking ban. Almost 850 were towed.
It was a lot. Compliance was not very good, and the police towed a lot of cars.
Along with following the parking ban, Messier says fire hydrants need to be shoveled 3 feet around to help firefighters.
You never know when there's going to be an emergency. And if it can save minutes for the fire department to get to that hydrant, that minutes can be lives. It's that simple.
And a firefighter has to, if they have to, use a hydrant, that there's plenty of room for them to maneuver around the hydrant and get access so that the hose lines and the valves can be used in the way that they're supposed to be used.
Messier says Tuesday's snow will be falling during the morning commute, making it difficult for snow removal crews.
It does make things complicated. This will be a different type of snow. Not actually, the snow over the weekend was heavy wet snow, but this will be heavy wet snow turning to rain, which can be very slippery and very difficult to drive in for that short period while it's freezing rain and turning to rain.
Now, the city has declared the winter parking ban will go into effect at 7 a.m. Tuesday morning. It means no parking on either side of the road on main roadways, but you can park for free in city-run garages during the ban. Anna?
Thanks, Brittany. Worcester police are investigating a robbery which took place at Union Station over the weekend. Police say just after 1 p.m. on Sunday, they found an unconscious 35-year-old man on the ground in the area of Union Station at Washington Square. They say the victim was walking with a group of other men when the group began punching and kicking him to the ground. They then went through his pockets, took his backpack, and fled. The victim was transported to the hospital with serious head injuries, but is expected to be okay. If you have any information, you're asked to contact Worcester Police. Tonight, we're getting a first look at the proposed plans for a new South High School. The new campus is projected to cost $215 million. It will include a 360,000 square foot main building, which is more than 100,000 square feet bigger than the current one. The plans include a room for vocational programs like culinary arts and automotive, a world language wing, and a media center. The school will also keep its existing Andy's Attic clothing donation program. It also has a new football field, solar parking lot canopy, and raised sidewalks. The Massachusetts School Building Authority's Leadership Board is scheduled to vote this week on the plan. Stained glass windows from the Notre Dame Day Canadians Church in Worcester are being sold on eBay. The Diocese of Worcester says they're only selling to other Catholic churches. The windows are selling for around $15,000 a piece. Director of Communications Ray Delisle says more than $80,000 has been raised from 7 sales back in 2011 to 2013. He says all the proceeds will be going to the parish.
One of the benefits of the sale of these, even though it's painful to be able to lose the items, it's always good to know that they're continuing to be used in a new congregation, a new parish to be used. But other thing is that the benefits of this are going to the parish so that it can grow in its ministry. It will continue to be able to maintain its church that is now housing this merged parish.
Delisle says more than half of the windows removed have already been sold. The 88-year-old Worcester church is set to be demolished by April. The city of Worcester has recently installed launch guides outside City Hall and around the Common. The guides help people who have disabilities get around more safely by locating an accessible path of travel. Our Rosalind Flaherty has the story.
You are now at the corner of Front and Main Streets, in front of City Hall.
New technology around Worcester City Hall is making it easier for people with disabilities to get around.
We want everybody in the city of Worcester to be able to participate in all the great things that are going on here, no matter of any physical limitations they may have.
Here's how it works. Slide your smartphone into the launch guide. It will scan the QR code and then open a web page. It describes with text and sound what's around you and where you are, as well as the history of the area.
You can follow the sidewalk, which extends from the curb toward the building for about 5 feet.
To make sure that people who are differently abled, in particular people who are VIPs, visually impaired, know where the accessible route is around the city common.
Jack Peacock is the creator of the launch guide. He installed 12 around City Hall and the Common.
They're fixed to the poles. We can use clock face instruction. So when you're facing the launch guide, you're looking at it at 12 o'clock. And if I give you directions to walk around the Common, I can use 9 o'clock for your left or 3 o'clock for your right.
Liz Miska is legally blind. She says it's tough to navigate around the city.
Oftentimes visually impaired people conclude, I don't belong here because I'm not being taken into consideration.
She says the launch guide makes her feel more included and she can now know exactly where to go.
I got dropped off here in front of City Hall by myself. I would be able to, by inserting my smartphone, know where I am.
Rosalind Flaherty, Worcester News Tonight.